everyone, my name's Allison and I'm one of the instructors here at Greenland. Today we're going to be making a beautiful tropical terrarium, and here's everything that you need to complete this lovely task in 15 minutes. Alright, so first off I'm just going to explain a little bit about what goes into a terrarium, because after all you are making a completely contained ecosystem and you need everything in here for your plants to survive. So layer number one, this is our drainage layer. So this is fine pea gravel. If you don't have gravel, you could use perlite as well, but this helps catch any of the extra moisture that may fall into the bottom of the container when you water. Our next layer is this lovely, you can't really see it through the package here, but this is activated charcoal, and charcoal helps to purify the water and keep the soil clean so that it doesn't smell, and it also helps prevent any mildew buildup in the terrarium. After that, you're going to add a really good, well-draining potting mix. It's light and fluffy, it doesn't compact very easily. It's got lots of perlite added to it, and this is so that the water doesn't stay soaking wet, but it'll actually drain really nicely. So a light, fluffy potting mix. Next is choosing your plants. When we choose our plants for a terrarium, you want to choose plants that all have the same needs. So same light requirements and same moisture requirements. All of these plants here can tolerate medium to bright light, and they like to be have average moisture. So our three plants here. Our final touches, if we come over here, this is the time to decorate and add a little bit of personal flair to your terrarium. Usually we like to start with a little bit of decorative stones on top, and you can add different types of mosses. This is reindeer moss. We have our natural moss here. Some driftwood for decoration, and a little tiny bird. You can choose whatever you like, or whatever your personality suits. And I almost forgot here, so these are our handy, super official tools for making a terrarium. A spoon helps you pack down the soil a little bit and to put the decorative rocks in, and this helps you place things without disturbing your plants or making a mess with the soil. So two handy tools. All right. Okay, so first off, we're going to do our pea gravel, our drainage layer. So we want to make sure that all of these layers are nice and even. So I'm just leveling the pea gravel out a little bit here. Our next layer that we add is this activated charcoal here. So this is really messy, so make sure you can wear gloves if you like, but just wear clothes that you don't mind getting a little bit dirty, because this stuff is very dark and black. So charcoal is available in our greenhouses, but often is used in orchid mixes. So if you can't find a bag like this, we often have it in our orchid area as well. So again, we're going to add this in. You can see how messy that can be. So this is where I'm going to use my spoon so my fingers don't go all black on me, and I have soot everywhere. So I'm leveling this out, and this again is our filtration layer. So this is going to keep our soil nice and clean. Our next layer is to add the soil. So we're going to add a generous amount of soil, as these tropicals have a pretty big root base already. Just going to scoop it in. And as you're going through the soil, make sure that it's free of any clumps. So just break them up with your fingers if needed, and any large sticks, pull those out. We don't need those in there. And you'll notice I'm not packing the soil down. I want it to be really nice and fluffy so that these plants have a chance to grow and we don't compact the roots. Just going to level it out a little bit. All I'm doing now is I'm going to just gently press down the outside. I find that this helps from the layers mixing. When you pour in your water, it'll just keep everything nice and layered. All right, so now it's time for our plants. So I always like to figure out my arrangement before I start messing around in there. So you can see that I have this taller fern at the back, I have the pothos to the side, and this is a giant baby tears, and it's just going to creep along the bottom. So I'm going to start at the back and work my way forward. So all I do is make a little tiny well in the soil. And that's going to indicate my placement of my plant. We're going to take our plants out of the pots, tip it upside down, and gently squeeze the pot, like so. Look at all these nice roots in here. And we're going to tease the roots just a little tiny bit so that when we put them into the soil, they're going to reach out and start rooting. Okay, so we have our teased plant here. Into our terrarium it goes. Our goal is to have the surface of the soil in our plant pot level with our terrarium. So you might need to gently press in a little bit just to secure it in. Okay. And we'll move on and do our second one. So again, make a little well. Depending on the size of your container, the opening may vary. So this is where it comes in handy to have your spoon or your tongs, just so that you can plant your plants properly and fill it up with soil here. So there we go, gentle push. Okay, and our last plant's gonna go in. So again, make a little well. So now what I'm going to do is add our decorative rocks as well as some moss and see if I can fit any of that driftwood in there. So when you're adding the rocks, rather than just dumping the entire bag in, I like to just take a small handful and I drop it around the outside of the container. So a small handful, just like this. And I'll hold the plants back and drop them in around the outside. That way you're not crushing your plants and you're making sure that you get the rocks around everywhere evenly. So just go around a few times until you feel that you have enough rocks. It may take the whole bag, it may not. Okay, so that looks pretty good for our rocks. So the moss is not to cover the rocks at all. The moss is just to accentuate the plants a little bit and make it more natural looking. So I'm going to start with a little bit of this natural moss here. Just break it into little pieces. And what I'm going to do, and this is all up to you what you want to do with it, I'm just going to tuck this around the bottom of some of my plants and push it a little bit into the soil there. So I might add some different moss. So this is our reindeer moss. It's very spongy, it holds on to a lot of water, and this one has been dyed bright green, but we do have other colors like natural or lime green or red for Christmas if you wanted to. So I'm just going to tuck some of this in as well. It gives it a little bit of a different texture, but it's really whatever you like. Okay, so we've got our moss in here. So I'm going to add this smaller piece of driftwood just because this is looking pretty full already. So I'm just going to tuck this in. This is purely decoration. Looks like a little woodland scene now. Like this. Something easy like that. And then our little tiny bird. And when you're picking your decorations, make sure that these are waterproof or water resistant because you will be watering this. You don't want the paint to start running off. I'm just going to tuck this little guy right in there. like so. And there you have it.